Om Shivaya, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, our noon version in Hawaii, Saturday at noon, starting with the publisher's desk in the coming issue. That's the January, February, March 2020 issue. And you can see the title on the screen there. Mom, Dad, I'm an Atheist. As a subtitle, Hinduism has never opposed the idea of disbelief, but its profound understandings of God make atheism more difficult. In many of my talks over the years, I have spoken about the idea of the secularizing influence of modern universities on our Hindu youth. Surprisingly, almost none of the parents and teachers present had ever heard of this erosive phenomenon. I explained that in the university environment, reason and science dominate, and religion is presented as a lesser subject. Some academics argue that the concept of religion has outlived its purpose and should be abandoned. As a result of years of exposure to intellectual secularism, there is a strong trend among university students to reject the religion in which they were raised. This applies to youth of all faiths, with few exceptions. This rejection takes several forms. The three most common are: one, converting to the beliefs of atheism; two, adopting secular humanism; three, becoming spiritual but not religious. The topics of spiritual but not religious and secular humanism have been covered in previous publishers' desks. Here we explore the third outcome, atheism. I personally know Hindu families whose son or daughter has returned from university studies and confronted mom and dad with a statement such as the following: "At the university, I was taught to believe in the scientific method, that everything needs to be provable." There is no proof for the existence of God. Therefore, I no longer believe in God. I am an atheist. Most parents are shocked by such a statement and have no idea what to say or do in response. My advice to parents is to first recognize and accept their offspring's newfound philosophical position. Then later find the opportunity to share more about the nature of God in the Hindu tradition, which is broader and more mystical than in Western faiths, the ground in which atheism is rooted. Explain that when most people think of God, which the youth has rejected, they think of him or her as a person. This is the view of many academics. However, in Hinduism and other Eastern faiths, God also exists as omnipresent consciousness and the transcendent source of that consciousness. Gurudeva described these three aspects of divinity as follows. 1. God is transcendent as the unmanifest, the ineffable that which lies beyond time, form, and space. 2. God is eminent as the substratum or primal substance and pure consciousness, flowing through all form. 3. And God is also eminent as the primal soul who performs the 5 actions of creation, preservation, destruction, veiling, and revealing. Though God is a singular and sacred mystery, we understand him through these 3 perfections. Thus, God is far more than a personal Lord. Phase 2 of responding to your offspring's newfound atheism is to bring the concept of divinity down to a personal level. We can say, it may seem strange, but you can practice Hinduism without believing in a personal God. All you need to believe in is you yourself. Ask yourself the question, do you exist? The answer to that, of course, is yes. In Hindu thought, focusing on one's own existence and its nature is called knowing thyself. The second question to ask yourself is, am I aware that I experience various states of consciousness? Positive ones, such as confidence, and negative ones, such as inferiority, fear, anger, and worry. Perhaps you are fortunate enough to experience creative states in which you produce something new, an invention, a poem, or a song, etc. Again, the natural answer is yes. Imagine these states of consciousness as a mercury thermometer. The creative states are toward the top and the negative ones are at the bottom. The goal of the path of knowing thyself is to learn to control the mercury so that awareness always resides near the top. When we get good at that, then the absolute top of the thermometer becomes reachable. That is divine, omnipresent consciousness. As it turns out, that consciousness is within everyone, and yes, even within God. In fact, it is described as God. In Hinduism, this approach to the divine is called Advaita, meaning non-dualism, or Ekavada, meaning monism. Omnipresent consciousness is often referred to in Sanskrit as Sat Chit Ananda, which literally means existence, consciousness, bliss. My guru gave this description. Sat Chit Ananda is Lord Shiva's divine mind and simultaneously the pure superconscious mind of each individual soul. Sat Chit Ananda is perfect love and omniscient, omnipotent consciousness. The fountainhead of all existence, yet containing and permeating all existence, also called pure consciousness, pure form, substratum of existence, and more. One of the goals of the meditator or yogi is to experience the natural state of the mind, Sat Chit Ananda, holding back the vrittis, mental activity, through yogic practices. Sat Chit Ananda can be experienced by the diligent yogi or meditator as a merging in or identification with the underlying oneness flowing through all form. This experience is called Savakalpa Samadhi. Paramaguru Yogaswami described this state in the following way: Sat Chit Ananda. That is one thing. Sat Chit Ananda. Sat is you are. Chit is omnipresence. Prakasha, light as from the sun, all-knowing. Ananda is bliss. They are three, but they are one. That is your nature. In other words, in Hindu thought, we can personally prove the existence of God as omnipresent consciousness, Sat Chit Ananda, through our experience of it. This is the mystical approach to proving the existence of God. It is not based on the shifting sands of belief. From Yogaswami's point of view, since he asserts that God is everyone's innermost essence, to not believe in God is the equivalent of not believing in oneself. Who would want to do that? The state of Sat Chit Ananda can also be described with the terms non-dual awareness and fundamental awareness. And some scientific papers are putting forth the theory that non-dual awareness is foundational to the universe. For example, in their 2016 paper, Fundamental Awareness, a framework for integrating science, philosophy, and metaphysics, Neil D. Thies, MD, and Menassi Kafatos, professor of computational physics, summarized their ideas in the opening abstract. The ontologic framework of fundamental awareness proposed here assumes that non-dual awareness is foundational to the universe, not arising from the interactions or structures of higher level phenomena. The framework allows comparison and integration of views from the three investigative domains concerned with understanding the nature of consciousness: science, philosophy, and metaphysics. In this framework, awareness is the underlying reality, not reducible to anything else. Awareness and existence are the same. As such, the universe is non-material, self-organizing throughout a holarchy of complementary, process-driven, recursive interactions. The universe is both its own first observer and subject. Considering the world to be non-material and comprised a priori of awareness is to privilege information over materiality, action over agency, and to understand that qualia are not a hard problem, but the foundational elements of all existence. These views fully reflect mainstream Western philosophical traditions, insights from culturally diverse contemplative and mystical traditions, and are in keeping with current scientific thinking expressible mathematically. For those not familiar with the terms qualia and holarchy, qualia are the internal and subjective component of sense perceptions, arising from stimulation of the senses by phenomena. A holarchy is a connection between holons, where a holon is both a part and a whole. The viewpoint in the article by Thies and Kafatos is indeed encouraging, showing that a change is gradually taking place in the scientific world regarding the nature of God and how it relates to modern physics. It is our hope that in the not-too-distant future, the university experience of Hindu youth will lead to new affirmative conclusions, and upon returning home from university, they will declare to their parents. The Hindu view that God is the underlying substratum of the universe is now proved by modern scientific thinking. And is expressible mathematically. Our Hindu rishis had it right thousands of years ago. Until such a shift happens, it is important for parents and teachers of Hinduism to have a strategy for preparing their youth for the secular, anti-religious university experience. I suggest emphasizing how Hinduism is about understanding and harnessing our states of consciousness. It has many practices within it for overcoming negative states, such as anger, fear, worry, and self-doubt. Additionally, it provides meditation techniques through which we can experience the inner happiness and contentment of higher consciousness. Which can eventually lead to discovering the one omnipresent divine mind permeating everyone and everything. As stated by a rishi long ago in Shvetasvatara Upanishad, he is God hidden in all beings, their inmost soul, who is in all. He watches the works of creation, lives in all things, watches all things. He is pure consciousness beyond the three conditions of nature. That's our publisher's desk. Moving on to Path to Shiva lessons. Starting here with lesson 45. What is japa? Okay, 1 second. Here we go. A mantra is a sacred Sanskrit word or phrase and repeating one's mantra while counting on beads is called japa or mantra yoga. Such a magic chant forms a kind of spiritual affirmation that we repeat mentally or aloud to draw close to God. It helps us feel in perfect harmony with everything. There are many mantras. Each one honors God or one of the gods. One of Ganesha's mantras is Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. It means praise to the Lord of Devas. Murugan's special mantra is Om Saravana Bhava. It describes the mind as a peaceful, undisturbed lake. The supreme Siva mantra found at the center of the Yajurveda is Namah Shivaya, which means adoration to Shiva. Because it has 5 syllables, Namah Shivaya, it is called the Panchakshara mantra, or 5-lettered chant. One of your goals as a youth should be to qualify yourself for Namah Shivaya initiation from your guru. This will give the mantra special power for you. After that ceremony, you will repeat it every day 108 times. Chanting Om Namah Shivaya connects you with millions of Shiva's devotees. Om Namah Shivaya feeds your soul, brightens your intellect, and quells the instinctive mind. Until you are initiated in Namah Shivaya, you can chant Om Saravana Bhava. Here is how to perform japa. Sit quietly holding a strand of 108 prayer beads in your right hand. Repeat the mantra verbally or mentally. Each time you repeat it, push a bead over the middle finger with your thumb. Concentrate on the sound and its meaning as you have been taught. Keep your mind from wandering. As you chant, the devas send rays of blessings. Perform japa anywhere, in the temple, in your home shrine, under a favorite tree, on the banks of a river, or in a remote cave. Can we get the test questions? Enter the letter from below of A to D for the phrase that correctly completes the idea. This is on 2 pages, so it's a little awkward. A is called japa or mantra yoga. So that's the second one. Japa or mantra yoga is the repeating of a mantra in perfect harmony with everything. That would be the fourth one. It helps us feel. Sacred Sanskrit word or phrase, that's of course the first one. A mantra is, and forms a kind of spiritual affirmation. That would be the third one, such a magic chant. Okay, another one on 2 pages. Okay, the mantra Om Gam Ganapataye, of course, is for Ganesha. And of course means praise to the Lord of the Devas, F. And we get the mantra Om Saravana Bhava. Again, it's on 2 pages. Okay, the mantra Om Saravana Bhava is a mantra of Lord Murugan, of course, and describes the mind as a peaceful, undisturbed lake. Very good. Then they get another 2-pager. The mantra Namah Shivaya, of course, is for Shiva. And means adoration to Shiva. So the basic idea of these questions is just to make sure the student understands the 3 mantras, which deity they're for, and the meaning. So we're trying to accomplish that by these questions. And the last one, what gives the mantra Namah Shivaya special power? Of course, is initiation. So the importance of initiation is being stressed here. And that concludes the questions. Moving on. Looking at lesson 46. What is meditation? Meditation is the yoga practice we use to quiet the mind, the body, and the emotions and go deep within ourselves. That's a very good definition of meditation. In other words, many people's the wrong word, many practices of meditation simply focus on eliminating stress, trying to help us relax, find a little bit of peace inside ourselves. But this is showing that it's much deeper than that. We have to quiet three things. We have to quiet the mind. That's our thoughts. The body. Some people can't sit still. And the emotions. We can't be upset about something. If we're able to do that, then what happens? We can go deep within ourselves. So meditation is supposed to quiet things down, and as a result, we're able to go deep within. So some teachers don't have the deep within part. So that's what this is stressing. It is more than sitting down and thinking about things in an ordinary way, definitely not involving thinking. And it is not just closing the eyes and doing nothing. Meditation occurs when concentration is sustained. It is a quiet, alert, powerful state wherein new knowledge is awakened from within as you focus fully on an external object or an internal line of thought. The first goal is to sit for a few minutes, then sit longer until you can remain perfectly still for 10 or 15 minutes. When you are able to sit for 20 minutes without moving even one finger, your divine mind can begin to express itself. It can even reprogram your subconscious and change bad habits. We have our basic breathing coming up. The second method is to breathe regularly, 9 counts in and 9 counts out, slowly. Our emotions and thinking are tied to our breathing. If we control breathing, we automatically quiet our emotions and thought. This, again, is a very important point. Emotions and thinking are tied to our breathing. If our breathing speeds up, our thinking speeds up. If our breathing slows down, our thinking slows down. It also works the other way. If our thinking speeds up, our breathing speeds up. If our thinking slows down, our breathing slows down. So it goes both directions. In this case, we're controlling the breathing and thereby slowing down the emotions and the thoughts. When our body is still and our mind and emotions are quiet, we can find peace and discover new knowledge inside ourselves. Again, this is pointing out we're going to the depth, we're going inside, and what happens when we get there, this is one explanation. We discover new knowledge. We learn something we didn't know. We have an insight into ourself or into someone else or into life that we didn't have before the meditation. We become aware of the spiritual power within us. That just means the power of the spine. We can use that power to understand our religion, to solve problems in our life, and to be a better person. So it's giving us examples of the areas we could have insights into. Meditation is the study of awareness, which is therefore a study of yourself and the universe. With practice, meditation becomes a door to contemplation where you experience the highest states of consciousness and see the clear white light of your soul. Again, it's giving us another example of what's at the depth of you is the clear white light. If you learn to meditate, your life will be more interesting and less stressful. You will be more alive and alert, more present and able to live in the eternal now. Your thinking will be clearer and your emotions more joyful. Sounds good. Oh, meditation is something that students, unless they've had some training somewhere, aren't going to understand very well. So these questions are going to be useful in making sure they understand it as best they can. Meditation is just closing the eyes and doing nothing. Of course, that's false. The first goal in meditation is not move for an hour, sit still for a few minutes, control our breathing. So sitting still for a few minutes. We're not trying to go for an hour initially. It could take years to learn to sit still for an hour. The second goal in meditation is control our breathing. The second goal. We can use the spiritual power within us. Check the incorrect answer. So of course, we can use it to understand our religion, which is pointed out to be a better person. It said that, but not to solve problems in our life. So that, of course, is incorrect. And the question is pointing out that it can help us solve problems. And number 5, if you learn to meditate, your life will be more interesting, but more stressful. Of course, that's untrue. It's false. Next lesson is also on meditation. How do we meditate? Gurudeva said, meditation is a long journey, a pilgrimage into the mind itself. He knew that meditation can make life joyous, creative, calm, and profound. He gave us clear instructions about this ancient practice. First, he said, we should meditate regularly each day. Well, that's a very important part of actually making progress in meditation. For our meditation to become deeper over the years, needs to be regular. If we do it 5 days a month, that's not often enough to make consistent progress. The best time is in the early morning, and the best place is a clean, undisturbed space. The way I explain that, the best time is in the early morning, is we haven't turned on our active thinking mind to analyze the day and everything we have to do yet, hopefully. Oh, it's easier to meditate before you get into those kinds of thoughts. If you don't, if you turn them on, then it can take time to turn them off. So that's the logic. Early in the morning, before you get involved in the details of the day, it's easier to meditate. Making meditation a part of each day stabilizes karmas, brings peace of mind, and keeps the external world in perspective. Very profound statements. I know lots of people who are feeling stressed out. In fact, I got asked a question just the other day about controlling stress, and I've just put it in a very general way. The key to controlling stress is to have a few minutes of quiet time when you get up in the morning. Some of the people I was talking to wouldn't take up meditation probably, so I was just being very general. Meditation is one way of having a quiet time, and of course would be preferred. But just taking time in the morning when we get up to center ourselves and feel quiet helps us not get in a stressful state of mind throughout the day. Gurudeva taught the finest times to meditate are just before sunrise and sunset. It's called Sandhya. Those periods. The period of meditation should be from 10 minutes to 1/2 hour to begin with. Good advice. Breathing is most important. At first, you may find that thoughts are racing through your mind. By regulating the breath, thoughts are stilled and awareness moves into an area of the mind that does not think but knows. Well, believe it or not, there's such an area that doesn't think. Gurudeva was very expert in getting into that. He said in meditation, I'm sitting there quietly, and once in a while a thought comes. It's like a fish swimming by. So that meant it didn't happen very often. Gurudeva gave us a system called preparation for meditation. It's a series of breathing and mental exercises that quiets our mind and directs our awareness inward. Using the same series in reverse returns you to normal consciousness. The basic idea of the preparation for meditation is to experience more and more subtle aspects of what's inside of you. In other words, the heat of the body is pretty easy to feel. The nerves, a little more subtle, the power in the spine, even more subtle. Then you go deeper yet. Inner light, inner sound, those are even subtler than the power in the spine. So we're going from gross, gross to subtle is the idea of preparation for meditation in a systematic way and a consistent way. We're doing it the same way each time. Going in should take about 1/3 of your allotted time. The actual meditation should take about half of the time, and coming out should take 1/6. Very precise. Going into meditation, posture. If you're able, sit on the floor with your legs crossed, either in full or half lotus. Place your hands in your lap with the right hand resting on the left and the tips of your thumbs touching softly. You may also sit on a cushion on your knees or in a chair. Sit upright with your shoulders back, spine straight, and the head balanced on the top of the spine. You should feel poised and comfortable. So that's very important. Sit upright with your shoulders back, spine straight, and the head balanced on the top. Two, body heat. Feel the warmth of your body, your head, your chest, your feet. Become conscious of heat radiating out from your skin. So everyone can do that. That's easy. Breath. Breathe through your nose, not through your mouth. You should breathe from the diaphragm. So if individuals don't know about breathing from the diaphragm, that should be explained. The muscle at the bottom of your rib cage, just above your abdomen. Your stomach should move in and out as you breathe. Don't breathe by expanding and contracting your chest. That kind of breathing makes it difficult to be calm. As you inhale, slowly count to 9 and hold 1 count. Then count to 9 again as you exhale, softly contracting the abdomen as you expel air. Then hold 1 count. At first, you may be more comfortable counting only to 5 or 6. The key is that the in-breath and the out-breath are the same length. If it's 9, 5, or 6, doesn't matter that much. Longer is better, but they should be equal. That's the most important point. Four, life force. Next, feel the nerves within your body. Feel the nerves in your face, in your hands, and your feet. Feel the energy, the life force flowing through those nerves. So that's a little more subtle than heat. Five, power of the spine. Now move your spine slightly. This is the only time in the meditation you should move at all. This will help you focus on your spine and the energy that flows within it. Try not to be aware of anything else, just the spine. Six, withdrawal. Draw the energy from the body inward on the, no, I should have commented. The power of the spine, go back, is more subtle and isn't felt necessarily on the first few attempts. But what does it feel like? It's a certain dynamism, certain positiveness that exists in the energies in the spine. It's not physical, of course. It's a spiritual energy that's there. It's called actinotic energy. But it makes you feel more dynamic, more positive. That's one reason, one way you know that you've experienced it. Withdrawal. Draw the energy from the body inward. On the first in-breath, become aware of your left leg all the way to your toes. On the out-breath, slowly pull the energy of the left leg into your spine. Do the same with the other leg, each arm, and finally the torso. So there's 5 parts of the body we're doing that with. Pure awareness, number 7. At this stage, you should have little awareness of your body. Now become aware that you are aware. Then be aware of awareness and nothing else. Hold this state as long as you can. So that's the goal, pure awareness. And initially, the time it's held in most people would be short, but we can elongate the time through consistent practice. Your meditation. With the body relaxed and the mind quieted, you are ready to focus on the day's meditation. Could be a problem you are working on, a decision you want to ponder, or something that interests you. But this isn't the time to think, that is, to logically move from one thought to another. Instead, you want to concentrate in a general way on the issue and wait for some new understanding to occur. In other words, you're thinking about it the minimum you can to hold awareness focused on it so the mind doesn't wander. If you don't think about it at all, it's likely you'll change subjects. So to have thoughts about it occur now and then is what this is suggesting, but not a steady stream of thought, and you're not analyzing it through reason. You're trying to just keep the mind focused on it by repeating what it is now and then. That's what it's saying. Like the next slide is saying the same thing. So instead of thinking, keep the mind quiet and wait for the next insight, which will come when your mind is open. And this way you can tap into your superconscious mind. Or meditate on 5 forms of Shiva consciousness. So this is a second type of meditation. That's called Shiva Chaitanya Panchatantra. Shiva Chaitanya is Shiva consciousness. Pancha is 5. So Tantra, in this sense, means steps. Panchatantra. A meditation on Shiva consciousness consisting of 5 steps. When you are really good at meditating, you can try this advanced one. The discipline is to concentrate on 5 forms of Shiva consciousness, one after the other. Vital breath, prana. Concentrate only on your in-breath and out-breath. Try to experience them as Shiva's will within your body, then as the pulse of the universe, divine will in action. All-pervasive energy, Shakti. Become conscious of the flow of life within your body. Try to see the same universal energy within every living thing. Manifest sacred form, Darshana. Hold in your mind a sacred form such as Nataraja, Shivalinga, or your Satguru. Try to experience that form as Shiva himself. Inner light, Jyoti. Look within your mind as if you were looking at an inner TV screen. Remove the images and thoughts that you are left only with the light. Read that again. Look within your mind as if you were looking at an inner TV screen. Remove the images and thoughts, and you are left only with light. Concentrate on that light. That's a very easy way of seeing the inner light. Sacred sound, nada. Listen to the constant high-pitched E sounding in your head like a humming swarm of bees. Usually this can be heard first in one ear, then the other. Try to balance the sounds until the E sound is centered in the head. Coming out of meditation, when you are finished meditating, reverse the steps you took to go within. Feel the spine, then the energy of the spine returning to the outer parts of the body. Feel the nerves of the body. Then your breath. Finally become aware of the body's warmth. Posture is the last one. Very good. Finish that. Then we get to questions. The finest times to meditate are just after sunrise and sunset. Of course, that's a trick question. It's the finest times to meditate are just before sunrise and sunset. Period of meditation to begin with should be, of course, it's from 10 minutes to 1/2 hour. It's not 1 minute won't do any good, and 2 hours is way too long for a beginner. Gurudeva's system of meditation is called, of course, it's C, preparation for meditation. And we have the steps. So the posture, of course, is first. Body heat is second. Breath is third. Life force is fourth. Power of the spine is fifth. Withdrawal is sixth. And pure awareness is seventh. The way we outlined it. You can tap into your superconscious mind by check the incorrect answer. So we're looking for what's incorrect. Thinking extensively about the issue. Concentrating in a general way on the issue, keeping the mind quiet and waiting for the next insight. So B and C are both correct. And A is what the text was discouraging. We don't want to think a lot about the issue, then we won't have an insight. Has to be some quietness between thoughts. Moving on, we have lesson 48. Our basic beliefs as Savat Hindus naturally inspire us to practice ahimsa, or non-injury. Because we see God everywhere, we feel a deep closeness and affection for all beings. We would never want to hurt that which we love and revere. Knowing that God is in every person, every creature, everything bestows an attitude of sublime tolerance and acceptance. We reject the idea that some people are evil and deserve to be treated badly. People do act in evil ways, but deep inside they are all divine beings. They are experiencing a difficult part of their evolutionary path. This is a very important point, because there's lots of beliefs in the world of other religions, of philosophy, that are different than this. They would state that, no, just some people are divine, or some people are the chosen people, not everyone. But Hinduism says everyone is divine, and then it explains why someone who's divine on the inside can do violent things is they're in a difficult part of their evolutionary path, or said another way, they're still strongly in their instinctive nature. Haven't got their instinctive nature under control yet. But just because the inside is perfect and divine, of course the outside is imperfect and human, so it has to be controlled. Okay. The second belief behind ahimsa is the law of karma. We know that any hurt we cause others will one day return to us. Being aware of this basic principle, we wholeheartedly practice ahimsa, refraining not only from causing physical harm or violence, but also from hurting others with our words and our thoughts. So that's a very compelling motivator once someone understands it, they can't get away with hurting another without getting hurt themselves. So that makes you think twice about it. Such gentleness gives rise to respect, courtesy, and appreciation for others. Non-injury is the product of spiritual consciousness. Hurtfulness arises from lower instinctive consciousness, fear, anger, greed, jealousy, and hate. It is based in the mentality of separateness of good and bad, mine and yours. We never retaliate. It is wiser to accept the hurt as self-created karma and respond with understanding and forgiveness. To retaliate would only perpetuate that karma. It's important to explain what that means. However, ahimsa does not mean pacifism. We may defend ourselves to protect our life or the life of another, or turn to the police who are authorized to use force. And we support our country's use of military force to safeguard its citizens. So sometimes people don't understand the difference between nonviolence, a philosophy of nonviolence, and a philosophy of pacifism. Pacifism means you don't believe in having a military. But in our world today, if you don't have a military, you're going to end up speaking the language of another country very fast. Well, it's where we are. We need a military, but this ahimsa, nonviolence, applies to civilians. 100% to civilians. Are not supposed to harm anyone at any time. You have to be in the military or in the police to be authorized to use violence, and even then it's controlled. It's only supposed to be used in specific circumstances against specific people. Ahimsa is also a powerful tool for changing and improving society and government. Gandhi proved this with his civil disobedience movement, which freed India without resorting to fights or force. Ahimsa is called the Mahavrata, the great vow. Among all the yamas and niyamas, it is the most important virtue. You have the questions? Check the incorrect answer. Some people are evil and desire to be treated badly. That's obviously incorrect. Keep reading. God is in every person, every creature. We're pointing that out. Because we see God everywhere, we feel a deep closeness and affection for all beings. Those are both true. Ahimsa only refers to causing physical harm or violence and does not include hurting others with our words and our thoughts. That's a very important point. Thought, word, and deed applies to all three, but it's not thought about in that way necessarily in the popular mind. When we talk about violence, usually it means physical violence. There's a fight in the street. Husband beats his wife. So that's violence. But the kind of individuals interested in religion, that's not normally what happens. They're hurting other people with their words. And as the Tirukkural says, that's even worse. It doesn't heal. Something like the wound caused by the fist heals, but the one burned in by an inflamed tongue never heals. Some beautiful imagery like that. So we're dealing with words mainly. That people interested in religion are hurting other people with their words, and ahimsa applies to that. And thoughts is even more subtle. Enter the letter from below, A to B, for the phrase that correctly completes the idea. Non-injury is the product of spiritual consciousness, of course. Hurtfulness arises from lower instinctive consciousness. So that's an important point. It's in the lesson a couple of times, that what causes a human being to be hurtful, because divinity is within him, and it's the fact that he has an instinctive mind and hasn't learned to control it. Instinctive mind, intellectual mind, and intuitive mind. So we have to learn to control the instinctive mind and the intellectual mind. Intuitive mind, just have to use it more. When someone hurts us, we do not retaliate, because to retaliate will perpetuate that karma. Absolutely true. Doesn't mean, it's not pointed out in the lesson, but it doesn't mean we don't do anything. Someone beats up a student in school and the student says, well, I can't retaliate, doesn't do anything. Well, the student is supposed to report it to an appropriate adult, someone who's supervising the playground, a teacher, a principal, and then that person takes the necessary steps to correct the situation. So we need to report it, tell someone. Ahimsa means we believe in pacifism. We pointed that out. Incorrect. It's okay to have a military and for them to use violence in certain situations. Well, thank you very much. We had a couple more lessons planned to present, but the meditation one took a little longer. I threw in a few extra comments, which I hope you enjoyed. Well, thank you very much for attending today's webinar. And the same webinar will be repeated at 5 p.m. Om Namah Shivaya.